This is the Poddy with Serene
and Pearl.
Get it right, Poddy.
It's the Trim Healthy Podcast, brought to us today. No, it wasn't brought to us. Today's beverages are... Let me start again.
He spilled it like he peed.
He spilled on his little jeans with the right place of the pee.
I can't do this. Oh, gosh. Today's podcast, today's beverages, what should I say?
I don't know, but you kind of fired.
I think you're in it.
Just say I like it. That's brought to us by... No, it's not brought to us.
Today's refreshments have been brought to us by Thrive Brew.
They're not sponsoring us at all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We
I can't
just like
say sponsored.
to drink Thrive Brew, which is
Yeah, no.
clean, crushable
The
kombucha
truth
that's really
is,
low
we're in
in
our
sugar.
second potty on the same day, and we still have our drinks.
Hey,
That's good.
so, okay, that one's good too, the butterfly. I have a question though. I brought a product
Yeah.
I want you to check out. I've been loving it. They have not sponsored any of this, but it's Everyday Dose. Okay, this is...
That's the brand, Everyday Dose.
It's called Everyday Dose. It's a mushroom matcha.
Yum.
It's got mushrooms, collagen protein,
Okay.
nootropics,
Yeah,
Does it have sugar in it, Dan?
That's the main question.
Cane sugar.
0 grams of sugar.
Okay, what have they sweetened it with? Or do you just sweeten it yourself?
I don't think it's sweetened.
Pass it over here.
Yeah,
Throw
show
it
us.
over.
Now we're intrigued.
I want to ask you, I'm about to burp this whole podcast.
Carbonated.
I want to ask you about amino acids because I don't know anything about them, but I think they're...
Oh, we love talking amino acids.
Here it comes.
Throw it.
May I look first, Serene?
We
Pops?
look together.
Oh, okay. So they've put amino acids in here jolly well. Lutein, they've put tiny amounts. So it's just tiny amounts, but you got a nice... I don't know why they put the amino acids in. Just
Is
for a
it
little
enough to matter?
They
pick me
probably
up.
put it in for gut and nootropics.
But is it enough?
Certain amino acids are great for the gut.
Okay,
Like
so
glutamine.
it is definitely not enough for any muscle synthesis because you need 2,200 at minimum for muscle synthesis of lutein, and you have 116
Is it good
milligrams.
for anything?
But yeah, it's good
Well,
for
you
anything.
see, they've added L-theanine, Pearl, which is a
Nice.
relaxer, and that's an amino
and
acid.
it's brain enhancement.
Yes.
I
And
think
then-
they put the essential amino acids just because they're putting in L-theanine and things like that.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's good for what it is. Can you look at the ingredients? Is there anything you wouldn't recommend in there?
No, Pearl, this is very, very interesting. It's, well, the mushroom and nootropics blend is the ceremonial grade matcha,
Nice.
which is brilliant. It's got the EGCG, which is so high in anti-inflammatory
EGCG.
substances. EGCG is incredible for fighting cancer, for fighting any disease.
Long
That's the
haul
green
COVID
tea
too.
extract. Oh, yeah, long haul COVID. L-theanine, that's going to be relaxant. Now, the matcha already has natural amounts of L-theanine, so the really...
L-theanine is not just a relaxer, though. It's a focused relaxer.
Right.
So you can become focused at what you're doing and alert, but not in an anxious way that coffee gets to some people. Not me. I love my coffee.
Now,
But Serene and you.
It has the organic chaga fruiting body, the fruiting body of the chaga, the double extracted, so it's a very potent extract, and the organic lion's mane fruiting body extract. Again, it has greater than 15% beta gluten, so it's very good for the immune system.
This is very good.
But
Yeah, I
does it
don't
have enough of all these things?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Now,
Okay.
not for a protein, but
But
you're
it
not
doesn't have
taking
to
it
be a
for
protein,
No, but we
no.
just
No.
saw those amino acids
Yeah.
and we thought
This
so this will
replaces-
elevate mood. It will give you concentration without the crash.
Yeah.
It will fight inflammation and it will boost energy because it has that nice little bit of caffeine balanced with the L-theanine. I don't see that it has any other ingredients. I don't see that it has any other so let me
Is
see if
it
it's sweet.
sweetness? Like,
Go on,
I'd
get
really
you-
like to
get
make
you
a latte out of this. Ooh, it's nice and lime green. Where'd you get this thing?
Yeah. Order it from their website.
she just put her
Oh, can
saliva
I get it on
in.
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
No,
sure.
She
Go.
just did put a little saliva
You just
finger
got to use a
in
new
there.
Oh, I
finger.
love it.
You dig?
I dig. I'm going to buy some of that because I'm a matcha freak because coffee can make me psychopathic.
So I got it as a green. I wasn't loving my green tea choices at my grocery store.
I love that.
And I got it as a replacement. But I believe in mushrooms. I believe
Yeah.
in all of
Oh, I'll be purchasing some of that.
Nice.
Okay.
Hey,
This
Wash
is
it
the-
down with my Thrive Brew kombucha.
Yeah.
you so do you
Properly
add a little
fermented.
stevia to this?
I'll tell you what I add,
Okay.
Pearl. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
I add not only Trim Healthy Mama Stevia, which is the best in the world,
that's good.
sourced from the purest mountains of China.
Right.
But I also add ashwagandha. I take
Oh,
a
do
serving
you?
of
Nice.
2 pills and I open the pills and I
Yeah.
pour the powder in.
Oh, into this.
into that.
Uh-huh.
Ashwagandha, stevia, and then sometimes, not all the time, I'll just some heavy cream.
So do you find that ashwagandha has a strong taste or no? Does it kind of, because this is strong, it just melds
That's
in?
strong enough, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It better be nice and expensive, because if it's not, it's probably not good.
It's nice and expensive.
What, like 60 bucks?
It's $40
Yeah.
Ah,
No,
that's not bad for
that's not bad.
matcha.
That's not bad.
For what you're
Actually,
getting
it's pretty
to.
cheap. So I'm wondering if it's really great now.
It does say ceremonial.
Because ceremonial matcha.
Mushrooms are expensive too.
Yeah, normally a good ceremonial matcha is
But it
60
is
bucks for a
organic,
bag.
so I'd like to try
this.
this too, because I feel like the mushrooms are rounding out the matcha taste. When I tasted that on my finger,
Yeah.
I felt like the two were a better combination than the one.
Hey, they're not even paying us for anything. And they're not even
Let
a
me-
THN family like Thrive Brew. So let's get on with it.
Oh, but
and I'll
they
tell you,
might be.
the other thing I got it for is ADHD focus.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And has it helped?
I feel like, placebo is so real.
Oh,
you
it's
know,
so
I've-
real.
Yeah.
since I've started drinking it, I've also started doing push-ups. I also add ashwagandha.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
hey, maybe it's giving you the motivation and the focus to do that sort of thing.
I think so. And I've been this for a while. I take GABA at night. Mm-hmm. And so I think I've been really focused on trying to fix symptoms classified as ADHD and lower anxiety.
And the GABA, just for new peeps in the room, because we want to be educational, tell everybody why you take GABA in the evening. What does it do for you?
Yeah, so it is a calming thing. I contend as the day goes on to get more and more anxious. I start stacking anxiety one upon the next. In the morning, I'm very fresh, ready to take the day. I'd say when it's time to come home and stop working, stop paying bills, you know what I'm saying? Stop making sure that I've done all I can do to move this family forward. I think the anxiety really starts to spike. And I'm sort of predisposed, family history, if we believe in
No,
that
you're
stuff.
not.
No, I'm not predisposed at all.
because you don't have to wear it. But
Right.
hey, you're challenged with
I
it.
love
but
how
you're
you don't
overcoming
believe
with
in
it.
anxiety. I'm just telling you not to believe in it.
No, here's the thing. I
I know people can get anxious thoughts because we're human. We can get anxious thoughts, but what we believe in, we
Well, and things I do really
give
believe
power to.
in the environmental aspect of anxiety. In other words, what are the variables happening in your life that you're not approaching correctly? Like, I'm not sitting here like I have anxiety.
Good.
As if
Because I was going to punch you.
yeah, as if like I have big eyes. Now that's a fact.
Yeah.
But I don't have anxiety. My body contends.
I just find
Yeah.
it hard when people say my anxiety. I've heard that a couple of times lately.
Yeah, but that's
When
kind
they-
of, you got to be careful the way you say that, because a lot of people haven't been educated that it's not their anxiety.
No, I can
we
say I'll
can't
punch Danny
punch
and not
them.
no and not I don't feel the need to punch anybody else.
Just
Oh,
me.
just
Danny's written What If You Could books.
Yeah,
Pearl.
okay, so that's
Danny
just,
is
that deserves a
he-
punch.
Danny is a leading thinker on positivity, and so he's
In the
just.
world.
It was just like you're beyond this, Dan. No, I just
Okay.
want to give other people a hug. that
But
are
here's the
anxious.
thing, though. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
We don't always like. I believe in overcoming and healing and things like that, but I'm also comfortable with little dragons that need that
I
appear.
Oh, I
that
100%
come
agree.
back and that need re-slaying.
Oh,
Oh,
I
totally.
agree with reslaying. I'm not saying that you don't have anxious
Challenges.
to defeat. I just don't like the subject called a disease for you.
No, that's kind of my point.
You know, because anxiety to me has this feeling of a label that means that you're going to be dealing with it for your life, and because
But it's okay to wake up in the morning. I feel like you can get to the point where you've slayed things.
oh yeah,
But it's okay to be in a battle and to
Oh,
embrace the battle and have peace in the
I
battle.
100%
like
agree.
for me, I'm walking out of things that people could say, well, that's depression, Pearl, but I call it gloomy thoughts.
yeah.
I have a battle with those, but I don't call myself depressed or I suffer with depression. I battle those gloomy thoughts, and I do it like Dan, with so many things, with positive thoughts, with
Yes.
putting on the good, with supplements, with all the things I can do.
Can I climb out of my hole?
Yeah.
You're not in a hole, girl. This is
No,
yo Poddy.
listen. When I wanted to punch Dan, that
Look, you
it was
feel
a
bad
very cute brotherly saying
It
to
was
him.
received as such.
I would never really punch Dan.
I know.
You might.
But
I
I
don't believe
did.
it.
I did. I was just getting a little bit feisty with him, like, Dan, slay those dragons. Get up and be the soldier every day against ADD and anxiety. Yes. And you're never so strong than the day you have to fight it the most. I'm all about that.
So true.
And Dan, you're a human, and those dragons are going to come to the humans while we're here on this earth. But I just wanted to tell him that it's not a disease.
It's so
for
true.
him.
And when you explain yourself, it's so good. I'm always constantly aware of how our listeners perceive things.
Yes.
And sometimes I love you for what you are, and you just say it like it is. And sometimes it needs a little bit of context, which I'll bring out.
Thank you for putting me in the best light.
Yeah.
Now I do want to say, yes, I
know you like. Dan knows you like.
Pubescent show host, prepubescent show host, and that my immaturity will leap ahead of my wise thoughts.
But you got to slay that prepubescence, or you want to keep it around.
See,
No,
it
I'm
comes
keeping
back.
it around for these
It
people.
comes back
Hey,
like
when
dragons.
I walk out this door, I have nothing of prepubescence at all because it's
doubt
only
it.
my persona for here. Apparently, I was given it.
I don't
No,
think so.
darling.
We've partied
You
together.
got that persona all day long.
I just want to tell you about this, guys. I never feel as strong as on the day that I get hit the hardest with things I have to slay. I feel like that, like I've talked here before in a podcast, that warhorse in Job, where the muscles of the flanks and all of that, where it talks about he's snorting for the battle. Like, I don't feel like that I am a defeated person because I have to deal with junk on days. I feel like the days I have to deal with the most junk, that I've never looked so strong. So don't think that I'm looking down my nose like I don't deal with stuff. I definitely deal with stuff, and I'm excited about dealing with stuff. I'm excited about getting up every day and dealing with it. Like dealing with it, meaning slaying them. But so I'm all about you, Danny, getting all your GABA and getting all of that stuff and putting your brain in the right space. I just think it's the way we look at it. I don't ever want to look at it as like it's my label defeating me and putting the box over me. And
For
I know
sure.
you don't.
Yeah.
But speaking of GABA, though, you're taking it in. But with women, we get GABA at night with progesterone as we make it, but then we stop making it. Especially in perimenopause, it declines, and then in posty, we're making none. So taking in bioidentical progesterone is the GABA initiator. So that's why when women I take my oral progesterone right before bed, it puts you in a GABA state, and that's why
Really?
women who take oral progesterone sleep so deeply. It's the beautiful sleep.
Like before I started taking bioidentical progesterone, every screech from the children, like playing roughhouse and get out of my room stuff, it was annoying. But after taking progesterone, it was just like violins. It was just like what lovely household noise.
It was put into perspective of the long game of the beauty of life and the oxen
The
dirtying the stall.
dishes all piled up in the sink was just not a bad
Hey,
sight.
have you gals done research on how CBD affects GABA and because obviously it can be very
Yeah.
calming and put people into deep sleep.
Right, CBD
And
is.
by CBD I mean all the marijuana.
Well, you mean
I just say
you mean
CBD
the
because it's-
therapeutic stuff.
And I just mean everything that grows on the earth.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but
would.
some
Well, a lot of
science
it is
has
really
ruined what's growing
processed
on
now
the
to be more THC to
Right,
give the
to
high,
make
and
the-
that's
yeah.
really
make a
not going to
drug.
do the therapeutic
think
stuff.
And
that's
that's
a
not
bit
what God
much.
made.
Yeah.
No, the
I
the
haven't
earth.
looked into it for the GABA, but it certainly must be because the CBD enhances sleep. It enhances calm. That's why we've got that product Chillax.
I just wonder how
Yeah.
because GABA is what is GABA? I take
Well,
it, but I don't know
GABA
what
is
it
the
is.
calming neurotransmitter.
It's a neurotransmitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like serotonin, dopamine.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that the progesterone you take before bed increases GABA in
Yeah.
that's already in your
I
brain.
could look it up now. CBD GABA pathway.
Well, while she looks it up, can I bring like a topic for us to discuss
It's
today?
your podcast.
I don't have this meat ready to serve anybody. I was just thinking about this on my walk a few months ago, and I just wrote it down on my little paper plate that I put ideas on. Pearl and I seem to put ideas on paper plates. Like we don't have official notebooks and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just not organized that way.
I don't think you would receive it.
Yeah. So we
You're-
just
you're a
grab the
paper plate
nearest
girl.
Moreover,
bit of
this is
paper.
a study. Sorry,
That's usually
a paper
nature.com. CBD may increase GABAergic transmission by antagonism of the G protein coupled receptor 5, GRP55. So it is GABA increase. Okay, studies show there was an increased GABA in controls, but decreased GABA and ASD, the group difference in change, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
So it does make
there's a lot of
sense.
information to say that it does increase GABA.
Okay.
Okay, back to you.
Okay,
Steve.
CBD
actually, I
for
lied.
anxiety.
It wasn't a paper plate I wrote this on. It was actually a vacuum cleaning direction. Remember, I
Oh,
had
that
my
one.
little
Yeah,
list. Remember,
okay.
so yeah, but it's never an organized notebook.
Yeah.
But so I wrote down, appetite ain't bad, girls. I wrote that down. I had this thought on my walk that appetite's not bad.
That's great.
And I started thinking along those lines. And so I looked at my little vacuum cleaning book this morning and I thought, is there any thoughts here I could bring to the potty? And I saw that one I called Pearl. And I'm like, let's talk about this together. So I'm bringing it to you, Dan, today. Let's talk about the fact that appetite is not bad. It's just where you direct it. Because I feel like there's so many people that feel ashamed for their appetite when it comes to food. And we're going to talk about the subject on a whole today, not just about food, just about so many things. Desire. You know, some people think there is almost something you can get caught up to, a brain space where you feel shameful for having dreams and desires, and especially when it comes to food, thinking about your next meal. People think that it's somehow sinful or that they've got some kind of problem. And I'm here to say that appetite is God-given and desire is God-given. In fact,
Say it.
I looked up a little bit about the word desire, and apparently it's desire, Latin word, from the Latin meaning of the Father. It literally translates of the Father. And so interesting
Of
because
the Father.
yes, desire,
There's a
when you
Selah
think about
moment.
it, it's an intrinsic, deep thing implanted in all humans, desire. And it's not bad. And I was starting to think God has desires. Like he longs for, he yearns for. There's so many scriptures in the Bible where it talks about what God desires. I think having desire is just being part, because God's a creator, right? And when you create things, you have to have a desire, you have to have a longing for it before you create it. And so we're created in the image of God, and he's implanted us with the same makeup as him, and he's a God of desire. He's put that in us. And so when our desires are of the Father, and I believe all of those have been put inside of all humans.
Didn't you say to me this morning, well, you're probably going to cover it, sire, what did you say?
Yeah, of the Father. Another one. It's kind of the Father, of the sire. You know,
Yeah.
so
Sire.
So we sire things when we desire, like we bring forth, right? But I think when people start looking at appetite in any way as bad, we become fruitless. We become almost like eunuchs. We become infertile, and we don't bring forth anything in life because our passion has become decapitated. And so
Right. Well, but, the time before someone passes away is usually a time when their appetite goes.
okay, well, we're talking about food now. Yeah. I mean, let's go there just straight to the food. People think, my appetite's not great. Well, thriving young children, when they're healthy,
Yeah.
have an appetite. When their appetite is not so average, what's the word? There's a
Robust?
word. Well, we use the word robust instead.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Vivacious.
Avaricious, I was trying to think. I don't know what the word.
Voracious.
Voracious, that's it.
Voracious.
Voracious. When a young child's appetite is not voracious, you think to yourself, are they coming down with something, And your husband, Charlie Pearl, has got a little bit of something he's dealing with right now. And of course, he's getting better. But the first thing you noticed was his appetite was affected. So when we're dealing with stuff, sometimes it's, our appetite goes down. It's not a sign of great health.
No, it's not. People always associate it. Sometimes I feel like in our culture, appetite has been scorned, and there's been a whole contrasting kind of mantra that is like food is only for fuel. Now, we talk about fueling ourselves with food, but food is not just fuel. Food is comfort. Food is pleasure. Food is excitement. Food is joy. Food is creation. Food is it's bringing people together. It's conversation.
Food is meditation.
Yes,
Yes.
it's so much more than just fuel, but it is fuel, but it's much more.
And it's like the first food humans ever get, breast milk. It didn't come on a hard tack that they got to suck. They got to squeeze a nice, soft, gushy little plump thing, right?
Yeah, they
you know what I
did.
mean? Like it came with comfort.
I'm glad you see it that way.
You know, it came with comfort. It
Look at
didn't.
Art and his listening to his mom. He's like,
Literally every man in the room perked up without any, like everyone was on their phone and I just saw every phone drop and everybody's like, we're listening.
No, but listen, like God put that fuel for the baby to thrive on in a very comforting way. And a baby doesn't suck just for nutrition. A baby sucks for comfort. A baby sucks to celebrate life. You know, when it's happy, the baby wants to get on that booby. When it's sad, the baby wants to
Me
get on the
too.
booby. It emotionally eats. A baby is born emotionally
Tu
eating.
también. Yo también. I also.
So, you know, we see that. That's the
Pearl won't
first
look at me.
situation. You
She
know,
won't.
and the Son of Man.
No eye contact.
The Son of Man.
What did he do?
It says in the Bible that he came eating and drinking and feasting.
Yeah.
You know, and so everything he said that was important to say, often not everything, but a lot of the important things he had to say was around a meal. You know, and he fed people while he told them things that were important. Like you said, food is meditation. Food is so much more than just fueling the body; it feeds the soul, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like this subject is so grand.
I know, we're coming
It's
to
so
the balance because
huge.
there's two sides of it all,
Yes,
right?
and we could talk about appetite in every way. Appetite, sexual appetite, every form of appetite. It's intrinsically put in there by God, and it's beautiful and it's good, and God calls it good. But the thief, you know, the enemy, he comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And everything that we long for that is good, now people are like, no, stare there and think about the queen. You know what I mean? It's dirty, it's ugly. No, it's not. But the enemy has tried to make it so, has sabotaged it with sin, so that we think desire is wrong. But no, it's not. Desire is holy and it's a good thing. So let's just bring it back to food, though, for right now, just because we've got to keep on one kind of a track. But we've got to be careful because some people have food noise
and addictions.
and addictions.
Well,
and
I'm addicted to food too. I
Yeah.
mean, we all have to eat. When you say you're addicted to food, really, that's kind of wrong because actually every human is addicted to food because you die without food and you have to have another meal at some point.
Yes.
So we're all addicted to food. It's beyond that.
and we
but
get a craving and then
but-
we eat, right? We get a thirst.
Yeah.
You know, we could say we're addicted to water because we get a thirst and we have to scratch that itch.
Right. But I feel like there's two different things, okay? There's what we want to try to talk about today is the healthy appetite
Yes.
that should be celebrated,
Yes.
not demeaned. But then there's two different ones. Sometimes the appetite can be distorted by sugar and by these processed foods that actually twist things.
Right.
And they cause different neurotransmitters to go on, and they cause a kind of a warp.
Well, the Bible says that God wants to give us the desires of our heart, right? But I think those are the things that are sired of Him, the desires that come from Him. You know, and the food that He created, I believe that's what we're naturally meant to, in a perfect world, have the desire for. But, you know, we've started to eat away. Society is starting to eat in a way where it's not what He created for us. So we're starting to desire foods with a warp now. Right.
Yeah.
And so sugar has warped our desire. And
Well, not yours, but yeah, as
Right.
mankind, you're talking about.
mankind. And so people can get food noise because their whole leptin and ghrelin and hormonal signals are all off. And they're
Yeah.
starting to never be able to get satisfied because their body doesn't receive proper nutrition. And their body cannot really turn off the noises.
And I
for
feel
hunger.
like, yes, get to you in a sec, Danny, that, you know, getting off sugar is huge to reset those normal instincts for foods of the earth, as you talk about, Danny.
Earth food.
You know, once you get all of that out of your system, you can start tasting earth food for the first time again properly and then learning to crave it. But I do think that we have to also talk about a situation where kind of we're all learning about where there's such food noise inside the head that something's broken.
Right.
And that there's no shame in fixing that with like a peptide therapy, like one of the new medications, a weight loss therapy, a semaglutide or tirzepatide, these new things that are coming out that reset things so that you can have once again a normal appetite and almost even the playing field.
Right.
Because, you know, Jessica, who works for us, she won't mind me saying this, you know, she'd always had this food noise where it wasn't just wanting the next meal, but
Well, we're not wanting. Like after I finish lunch, I'm oftentimes thinking, okay, and what will I have for dinner? And I
Yeah.
think about the plan of it, you know,
Yeah.
because you think ahead with food. And I don't think that's wrong, but hers was a different level, right, Pearl?
Yeah, it was really different. She had anxiety about finishing that meal because it was like, well, the next has to, you know, am I going to be hungry for the next, and when can I have it? And there was that
You mean she would
anxiety.
like try to eat because she wasn't sure when she was going to eat again, or
Well, it was just like anxiety that this is going to be over soon, and when was my
It
next
was
meal going to be?
constantly in the back of her head, almost like, you know how noise is beautiful and we love to play music and put on a song from time to time and it's enjoyable. But can you imagine if you could never turn the radio off?
I can.
You know, noises are like hearing the birds sing. It's gorgeous, but people with tinnitus who constantly
Yeah.
have like chirping in their
I wake
ears.
up with a Barbie song in my head.
But she said, she said to me, I love having an appetite again. But what she meant was not
Interesting.
a constant appetite.
The right kind
Just
of
an
appetite.
appetite, a regular appetite. She
Right.
said, I can enjoy my meals so much because I don't have this super worry at the back of my mind when I'll be eating again. I can just enjoy the meal for the meal. And I just...
and get satisfied.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I get satisfied.
Well, that's where food is meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, if you're not enjoying it, I mean, people typically, I think, enjoy like the taste of food. I mean, especially if it's less than earth food, you know, I mean, it's addictively enjoyable to eat the wrong stuff. There's not for you, but for people who are in a habit of eating poorly. When I was Mr.
Well, it
Mac and
becomes almost
Cheese,
like an opiate. You
it's
know?
an opiate.
Yeah.
I mean, I would make mac and cheese so excited. I would take the powder and just tap. a
Don't
little,
mind
just-
me. I have to text my son. You guys keep going. Okay.
Yeah, cool. So the food is meditation. Like when I'm in anxiety mode, my appetite shuts down.
Yeah.
Because I'm so focused on surviving. And so what's such a paradox is that you survive by eating food.
Yeah.
It's literally survival. Like, but when you're worried and anxious, you start to get into fight or flight, which shuts down digestion. And you are now blocking the nutrients that would make you sane, the nutrients that would make you stable. And
Right.
especially when you're eating earth food, those nutrients mean that next time you're hungry, you're just hungry. You're not manic.
Right.
You're
Right.
not neurotic. You're not
Right.
emotional. You're not, everyone get out of the kitchen. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you are in control
Right.
when you have nutrients. And I've started thinking, since I've started eating right, it made me wonder how perhaps all those years of problems in the stomach and anxiety could be a lack of like green vital nutrients
Right.
and lutein, you know, and protein. And so all of these disorders and problems like in our country could be malnourishment as it's
Wait,
huge.
and let's say it, lack of a certain kind of appetite. So it's not the
Yeah.
appetite that's wrong. It's just the path it took, right? And so I feel like we have to clarify that because so many people these days, they feel like, and you know, we've run into it with so many women, they feel ashamed of wanting to put food on their plate. They feel ashamed for their
That
hunger.
They want to eat again.
Right. There's shame in that. And we're trying to say no. There's nothing wrong with appetite. There's nothing wrong with celebrating food. There's nothing wrong with eating when you're happy.
and eating volumes like Pearl loves to do.
Right.
Of the right
There's
balance of
nothing
food,
wrong
right?
with that. And it's just the thing that's wrong is just when we've eaten the wrong thing and now our appetite has become for the wrong thing.
Yeah,
it's
it's
been
almost-
sired by the wrong thing.
It's almost like food guilt. It's like, on one hand, you're sort of right to have negative emotions attached to an overindulgence of ice cream or something that's not good for you.
Right.
You know, no shame ever, by the way. But I'm talking about there is something inside of us that is like, I am
Hurting
doing too
myself.
much. I'm
Yeah.
hurting myself. But what that creates is when you are making sane choices
Yeah.
too, you still got that old habit of having shame surrounding food because you've done it wrong so long. It's sort of
Right.
like,
It passes over.
yeah, it's almost like if you've lived an immoral, reprobate, reckless life and then you clean up your act,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, you're still guilty when you walk into a restaurant because there's a bar in it.
Yeah.
When it's fine to walk into a restaurant when there's a bar in
Yeah.
it. Well, you used to trash those bars
Yeah.
back in the day.
Right, so true.
I know this is so unrelatable at this point.
No.
Except there are a couple cowboys
No,
around
I was
here.
actually getting it. I love a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
But
gonna go to the
I
bathroom.
was
See ya.
thinking sometimes you see all the people on Insta or whatever,
Yeah.
and the macros people, and they're all got their their kind of fuels. They
Yeah.
pre-do all their fuels, and they've got their week
The little
of
scale on there.
yeah, they've weighed out their protein portion, have got their scale, and it can seem to people like, well, they just never get hungry. They're just perfectly even, and then they eat their fuel. They don't necessarily need it. They eat it because they're in so control, and they go to their next fueling. But I don't think that's the way we are as humans. I think even when we're eating earth foods, we still get to that point where we hunger for that next meal, and it's important. I mean, some people aren't as hungry as others, but I get hungry for my next meal and I desire it, and I think it's really good.
Have you seen a newborn baby desire their meal?
Yeah.
There's some wow going on sometimes, and that's okay. We don't
Yeah.
spank them for that.
No.
We feed them.
Yeah.
But, we're
I think
giving
we have
them
to
the proper
take the shame
nourishment.
away from appetite.
Right.
And that's what
we
you're
could
trying
take
to do.
and we could take that further from food. The whole prosperity ugly thing
Mm-hmm.
that swept across the church. Let's believe for a red Ferrari and
Mm-hmm.
let's believe for our pink Mary Kay Corvette or whatever. I don't know.
Pink Mary Kay Corvette.
I don't know. I'm just making it up. But you know what I mean? So people have now got a bad taste in their mouth and they're like, any desire. Like
Yeah.
Danny had for a pool. He just had a simple desire to get a pool one day.
For his kids.
Yeah. And so that's not awful. Like we're meant to have dreams. We're meant to have desires. We're meant to have things in our life that make us want to get up in the morning. Of course, for me as a believer, I get up in the morning with this excitement because, God has given me another day and that love for him, that's what kind of anchors my day. But he's given me hobbies and passions and desires. And I feel like when we kind of like cut off desire and passion in every area out of our life is not life anymore. It's not the abundant life. The Bible says that he has come to give us life and life more abundantly. And I think that life is filled with celebration and joy. And, you read the Bible and it's like there was for any excuse to do another celebration.
Well, I think it's all parameters, right? God put desire, but always within the confines of protection.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, so a sexual desire. He's like, okay, that's so good. Great. I designed you with it. Here's how it works. Put yourself in a marriage.
That's right.
Protect yourself, and then it's fantastic. Well, the desire for food is similar.
Yeah.
Okay, I've given you a desire for food. Appetite's fantastic. But here's the foods, and he laid them out in Deuteronomy that are good to eat, right?
Yeah.
All the food groups, they're good to eat. But you go out of there and start twisting food into fandangled chemicals.
Yeah.
It's no longer safe for you.
And
It's
stripping
no
it of
longer
all
safe
its-
for your body.
That's right.
I mean, you get a taste of it, you're going to desire it. When I think about Doritos right now, I mean, yummy.
Yeah.
Yummy,
Oh.
because the chemicals go to places in my head that make
Look
my
at Serene
brain.
all high and mighty.
Yeah,
You can't
she's
even
like,
relate.
She's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I can't even relate.
I know what you're talking about. But if I think about even
With her accent.
even sugar milk
Makes her
chocolate, I
higher.
know what that tastes like. There are parts in
But
my
you
brain.
see, to the point, I haven't really had Doritos.
Right. Okay.
So I don't really.
You're not
I
injured
don't
by
get-
Doritos.
I don't
You
get
don't have
that
a Doritos
desire.
injury.
Yeah.
Okay, but most of us have had some sort of injury
All right.
with food. And all I'm saying is that when we allow ourselves to live in that non-protection of healthful foods, that desire hurts us. If we kind of, I'm not saying you can never eat a Dorito for goodness sake, but when we live in a world of where we allow our desire to be fulfilled whenever we want it with Doritos, and I'm just using that, it might be something else for you, it might be Dunkin' Donuts, whatever it is. That desire is no longer healthful because it's not protective for you.
No, it's
Yeah.
never the big bad. Doritos, Dunkin' Donuts. Everybody's like, not me. No. We're talking about those little Mexican wedding cookies from Whole Foods.
That's your thing, yeah.
Yeah.
He often brings that
let's,
up,
Let's
eh?
talk about real temptation. Things that like have an appearance, and they are
Yeah.
fine until you eat 2 full
Yeah.
bags. I mean,
Naturally sweetened with cane sugar.
yeah. Hey, we're gonna talk about food and sex when we come back. But now, a word from ourselves.
Okay, here we're back. Now, I'm
Actually,
not
this should be called the food and sex party.
Yeah,
Food and sex.
so we're back.
Well,
I'm
we're gonna
not
have to talk-
sure if
yeah.
what we're going to be talking about food and sex. I don't know. I was talking about food. We did discuss it a little bit, but
I was saying desire for sex is fantastic.
Oh, we
desire
talked
for
about
food,
it.
Fantastic. Put them in the right protected
No,
situations.
I love it. And I was talking about it earlier too, but
Yeah.
I think we've done with that, unless Danny has any more to add about that particular part.
What, food and sex?
Yeah.
No, sex, because I've already
Always.
done the food, and then
No,
I
we
was going to
could-
talk about...
I could go for hours.
You got more
I
on
mean,
the sex
in the
part?
conversation.
Oh, I
Okay.
just think that it's wonderfully
Stop laughing.
instinctual, like it's put in our hearts by God. And I think it's something that we should also contend for too. Like, because, people as they age too, sometimes that passion can kind of fall out with the
Yeah.
hormones fall out.
And just like
Just like
when you don't
appetite.
have an appetite, something's not quite right.
Right.
Here. When you don't have the sexual appetite,
What do they do for old people when they stop eating?
Send
They
them
up their
skydiving.
calories,
No.
right? They start making sure, or the doctors now start making sure they like got double insure,
Ensure.
with like double the calories. No, okay, we're not into that, right? We'd rather like give them something else. But when the elderly start getting frail and don't want to have an appetite, they get special nutritionists that go by their little house or door or wherever they are being looked after. And they get extra calories, and we start
They're
to
try-
worry about their calories
They're
and their
trying
food
to
intake.
ramp their
And
appetite.
I think that's the same thing too. I mean, but this is so weird, eh?
okay, so what?
Just going on about this, but I just feel like you should contend for the natural passions in life, because I think that's a sign of health.
Oh, it is.
So-
I mean, and so when testosterone goes down, oftentimes there will be lower sexual appetite. Not always. In some cases, it stays. But in women, when our estrogen and testosterone goes down, I mean, the sexual inclination goes. It happens, and you can still love your husband, you can still enjoy one another, but the desire for it goes away. So
I
I'm
think
all
desire
about
for s-
amending that soil and putting it back in.
Right. Desire
because
for
it's
healthy
healthier.
sex and desire for healthy food shows the health of the body.
It does. And so if you're declining in one of them, we have to amend that soil. We have to put
Right.
in some things to ignite that again.
Right.
I mean, for me, it was bioidentical hormones and, of course, a good diet. As I've grown muscle on my body, I have experienced a healthy appetite. I can eat more.
Not only was it that though, Pearl, but
Yeah.
it was also knowing that desire is not bad, and nurturing that desire and nesting that desire, because that's what we're allowed to do with good desires.
Yeah.
When desires are side by the Father, when they are of the Father, when they are good, then I think your thought life can nurture those, and then those desires grow. Like if you think about that nice Thanksgiving meal that you're going to have,
Yeah.
you get hungrier for it, right? And you're
Yeah.
ready for it. And I think people need to do that with other good,
Well,
healthy
be
desires.
specific. You're saying you need to do that in your relationship.
Yes, with your relationships, you start thinking nice thoughts about those people. You don't look at the list of wrongs, and you don't start looking at the shirt that you hate and you don't start looking at all the things that they've done wrong and the trash that they haven't taken out. You
Yeah,
start.
but I know what you're saying. You didn't go there thinking about that Thanksgiving meal you were also wanting to say, but you didn't. Thinking about that time with your husband.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But the son is right here staring at
Yeah,
me.
he
Yeah,
is.
so I'm on my best behavior.
There's Arden.
No, but that's good. No, I totally agree, because I think it's a lost art too, of thinking people think, oh, this is not necessarily something I need to be concentrating on. I think it is. Yeah, I do think it is. But I think also too, I think all desire shows that you are a healthy person. I feel like when people are sick, their dreams go downhill too. Any dreams that people have, and I just think when we are to be people that bring fruit, bring success, bring about, whatever it is in life that we're here and we've been put on this planet for, we have to have an appetite and a desire to pull it off.
So what about
Otherwise,
people
we
that
don't pull
actually
it off.
have low appetite? Like Danny, he says when he feels anxiety, he loses his appetite. Other people
People
are the
lose their
opposite.
dreams when they're anxious too, because
Yeah.
the fear sabotages and
Oh, but
paralyzes
It's
them.
the opposite too. Some people then eat things they know that's not good for them when they feel anxious, but then, like you say, Danny, they don't digest it anyway because they're anxious.
Right.
And so there's two things. There's two extremes sometimes with anxiety or depression, to either not eat and to stop all that, or to eat the wrong things and to do a bunch of over comfort, because food is comfort and that's natural. But when it is, it's almost making the problem worse. It's eating things that are actually going to hurt you, but it's too bad I need them. So, and I know many people right now are listening to this. Oh, what have you done? You're the I'm not going to eat person, but you're saying that you've been able to help that with Earth Foods, right?
Yeah, Earth Foods. in balance. So I'm always like, I just love mantras. Like, where's my protein? I got that one from the gals. So I literally, without even trying, every single meal, there's a voice in my head that says, where's my protein? It's just this voice. And it's just there. Where's my protein?
Love that.
Yeah. And it's so helpful. And then after that, I've really, this sort of, maybe it's not off topic, it's food. I've really gotten into beans and rice lately. Beans and rice is like, if you need to pay off debt, then go get your beans and rice. It's like, no, if you want to thrive in life, go get your beans and rice. It's the perfect.
Look at your background to what you're saying, beans and rice.
Behold. Talking about my beans and rice. Yeah. That was a Mexican joke. Yeah, no, I got it late, but I got it late. So what was your question?
I was saying, what do you do? I mean, the instinct, because if you feel anxious, is to not eat, but you have kind of taken yourself out of there by doing things like you say, hey, where's my protein? I actually can eat. I can regulate this appetite. What's
been really helpful for me is to think of food as meditation, because when I have to go eat, I have to stop the work. I have to stop the toil. I have to stop the overthinking and trying to pull it off in life, whatever that is. And I have to prepare food, right? And so the act of that forces you out of, for me, the he who can be prone to anxiety, it forces me to like look at the birds.
And could that give you, I'm just thinking about this too, because it's really become it's becoming the medicine itself. Okay, you don't have an appetite, but then you're like, I've got some anxious thoughts. I shall go prepare my meal and kind of meditate. But the act of preparing itself can stimulate hunger.
It can. And especially when you finally make that decision, you are not working right now.
Yeah.
You are making the food.
Right.
Okay. Now you're done. You're stuck. You're trapped. You can't get back to your worrying and trying to be anxious and getting your things done until you've eaten, because you already walk down the steps. In my case, I got to walk down steps and get to a kitchen. And so that act in and of itself can sort of like just shift you into that place. And so while you're there, don't suffer. You might as well eat your carrots and your veggies and your protein and do it right. You've done the work to get there.
And it's the fix for the other side too, because the other side is to quick eat comfort food. Where's my bowl of ice cream? Where's my sugar?
Right.
But if you go and do that meditation of preparing your protein, preparing your veggies, it's the same jolly thing, right? You will start stimulating a hunger for these things, these earth foods. That is the medicine.
Yeah,
I agree. And it's not, and it's not the slaying of appetite that's actually going to bring success to people. It's actually just directing that appetite, because it's going to be appetite that's going to be your healer.
Yeah.
It's going to be appetite focused in the right direction that's going to bring healing. I don't know, Pearl, how many times have we seen people stuck with their weight loss goals in plateaus, and we're like, well, let's see, do you eat breakfast? It's usually the ones who eat the least, the ones that stay hungry all the time, the ones that are ashamed of an appetite, that are the ones struggling to drop the pounds.
And I do want to say too, and it can be abused, like sometimes if people have food noise, constantly, and then they finally get on one of these therapies, the GLP-1 medications, and they're like, no, food noise. Oh my goodness. But it can be abused to the point where they're so almost PTSD about food noise that they never want to hear it again, and they're too scared to let a healthy appetite in. So they go too high on these medications because I'm scared of an appetite. It did me in. Appetite was wrong for me. But
it was just the wrong
using
appetite.
These medications, I feel like you still have to get to that place where you allow a healthy appetite in. You don't go so high so fast that you never feel that instinct for food.
That's right.
And I know people are fearful of it when they've been they've had the food noise and it feels too much, and all they ever thought about was food. And
that's what we're here to clarify today. It was never the appetite that was the problem. It never was. It was just the wrong kind of appetite, and that wrong kind of appetite is for those foods that actually mess with the signals, and that's what brings those broken food noise loops.
It can.
But it was never the appetite.
But I had a friend, and she had this food noise, and she said, Pearl, yes, I did used to eat unhealthily, but even as a trim healthy mama, my food noise was good food even healthy food. I would want to overeat it because
but there was something broken.
It was
there.
broken,
right?
Yes.
Right, but it was not appetite in itself.
Yeah, but
that
she was
the
fearful
cause.
of any appetite. I said, let yourself have some. Don't go so high on that medication that you feel nothing
Right.
and that you just want to fast and food is gross to you. Find that sweet spot where you still feel some appetite, because that is essential to the human situation. That's what we're trying to say here.
That's right.
Appetite is to be celebrated.
If you were alive, then you need appetite.
Yeah.
In every area.
And not eating,
Every area.
Not eating at all is a symptom of anxiety and stress, but eating wrong
Yeah.
is also a symptom of anxiety and stress, because one of the biggest excuses is I've got all these kids and I have no time, therefore I must just take what's in front of me and not
Right.
judge myself. That's absolute anxiety. That's what anxiety looks like in practice. To not eat right because you've got all the kids and all the things. It's just a lie. You absolutely like oatmeal.
Yeah.
Oatmeal with protein powder.
Like Danny says, pound oatmeal, pound it.
Pound your dang oatmeal.
I know, but isn't it funny when you kind of get off of those chemical foods, your desire gets so simple and get so excited about simple, wonderful foods,
You
real
get sane.
foods.
The
you
biggest
get
thing is
sane.
you get sane.
It's like
And-
you desire oatmeal.
Yeah, and everything you start to like, you actually get smarter
Oh yeah.
because you're not frauding yourself with these excuses anymore. You're too smart to believe your own BS
It's so
Yeah.
true.
about how
Dan.
you don't have time to eat
Yeah,
right.
right.
Like that. I'm speaking just for me personally. That's been the biggest lie surrounding food, is that I don't have time to do it. I'm working, I'm busy.
Right.
And if somebody doesn't make it for me, or I don't order it, or I don't go through a drive-through, I'm not going to make it in life. It's like, have faith, man.
And when you
can
pound
do
your
this.
oatmeal, I mean, you put it in hot water and you put your toppings on. That's 2 minutes.
If that. I actually did. I don't know why it took me to the age of like 40 before I timed actually leaving my house. I'm almost next door to like
Yeah.
all the drive-thrus you want, where I would go through a drive-thru and try to get the healthiest thing I could,
Right.
or make 2 fried eggs over toast.
Right.
Do you know
It's way longer
quick.
to go to the drive-thru.
sometimes what sounds the most complicated is the most simple? So I just came back from Scotland, and it kind of brought me back to my roots. In New Zealand, we grew up on poached eggs.
And we're
It's a very-
Scottish. We're Campbells,
Right.
so we're Scottish.
So we went back to Scotland, my husband and I, and it was only poached eggs on the menu. An omelette? That's not even heard of. They didn't even know how to make an omelette, but poached eggs. So when I came back here, I was like, oh, I've got to just keep on with these poached eggs. Well, I thought to myself, well, this is going to take so long in my morning, poached eggs. Scrambled eggs were so quick.
Yeah.
But I love the poached eggs. You can get the centers just so perfect, when you
So
open
what
it
is
up.
your
Ooh.
technique? And then we'll finish.
Well, it's
'cause
just so quick. I mean, there's the poached egg breakfast, which sounds so complicated, is the quickest of all. I just have my little pot on the stove with the water ready to go. Before
boiling.
I go to bed, my little pot sits
Oh.
out there
Oh,
on the
really?
stove.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to bend down and pick up the pot. My vinegar, as I put a dash of white vinegar in there, is just left right near the stove. No child is allowed to put it away. So it's so simple. So I just lift the lid, plop a little vinegar in there, turn on the stove. I walk away, make my husband's coffee. I just do life. And then when I see it boil, I just drop 3 eggs and I put the lid on, turn it off. And then when my toast is done, the eggs are done. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have to watch the stove and flip the eggs and scramble it up. That's time.
Yeah, no, I do. I had poached eggs this morning, but I do the same thing. But I don't put the vinegar in. Leslie Popsy taught us to do the vinegar, but I find it works just fine without it. But you said
Yeah.
you like the smell.
You,
of
you
like
just
the
crack
smell.
an egg into boiling water?
I actually,
Yeah,
I
and then
did
you turn
miss,
it off
I
and
did
put a
one,
lid on.
I did miss one step. If I want them to stay perfectly together, I keep a slotted spoon too I'll prepare that the night before. Just leave the slotted spoon there, and I'll just quickly stir that water to a vortex.
I don't
so when
even
I
do
drop
that.
them in, it all stays together.
You know,
But
I don't do that.
You don't have to.
I put it on boil, drop my eggs in, put the lid on, turn it. Actually, I take it off to put the eggs on the heat, turn it all off, put it back on with the lid on. 5 minutes, they're done.
It's 5 minutes
So
and it's
easy.
perfection.
I've never made a
I had it
poached
over
egg.
quinoa
Haven't?
this morning.
Gonna.
I was
Got
out
it.
of my bread. I was out of my good healthy bread, and because I just live on Chris Service
love
now. I had it
quinoa
on
and poached
quinoa, and then you open up that poached eggs, and a little bit of the goo falls out.
Yeah, so good.
Do you still
so
eat
good.
Ezekiel bread?
When I'm out
I have it
of
in
bread.
my house. It's
Yeah.
good bread, but I prefer sourdough bread. I
Oh.
buy Bavarian sourdough bread off Amazon. Hey, it's full rye, 100% rye. We got to go. We're done. We're 49
Peace
minutes.
out then.
Hey, go eat something. Go have an appetite.
I'm hungry right now.
좀 healthy